What you're watching right now is my winning attempt at the Shadow of the Erdtree Dlc. It took me 6.5 hours on my first attempt before I quit for the day, but only 40 minutes on my second attempt to beat him. However, I must come clean. I cheated. I didn't actually beat the final boss, not legitimately at least. I used a Great Shield cheese build that relied on proccing Poison, Scarlet Rot, and Frostbite. I turtled behind my shield and whittled him down. It wasn't a real victory. There was no skill required to beat him in the way that I did. I not only cheated the game, but I cheated myself out of a very satisfying win.
You cheated not only the game, but yourself. You didn't grow. You didn't improve. You took a shortcut and gained nothing. You experienced a hollow victory. Nothing was risked and nothing was gained. It's sad you don't know the difference.
So I decided to prove my skill once and for all by doing a challenge run in Elden Ring. Now there are many different challenge runs on YouTube, and all of them limit the player in some way, shape, or form. Now I'm not a skilled god tier gamer, so I can't do anything too insane. But it needs to prove to the viewers that I do have an indomitable spirit, that my tenacity is hard to bring down. I think some of the best challenge runs involve the player using a different kind of controller, a DDR pad, Guitar Hero set, whatever. You really underestimate the power that comes with twiddling some sticks.
Don't say it like that.
Now, in 99% of the runs I've watched, they are able to control the camera and move the character, even if it's in a limited way. But what if you couldn't twiddle some sticks? What if you couldn't move the camera or your own character? Would that even be possible? Could you even actually play the game that way? There's only one way to find out. So I really love fighting games, and I've been playing most of the fighting games that I've been playing for the past few years on a Hitbox. Hashtag not sponsored. The way the Hitbox works is instead of having a lever or a joystick control your up, left, right, down inputs, you have buttons to do it. Now we've seen players win big tournaments by playing on standard controllers, so the idea that you need to play on a leverless controller is not true. Now that being said, playing on a leverless controller can give you some advantages. You can do specific inputs to make some moves come out easier, like holding down and double tapping forward to perform a Shoryuken in Street Fighter 6. It also makes blocking a bit easier, because you just need to release one button to switch from blocking low to high. Why am I saying all of this though? Well, all the benefits on playing on Hitbox are thrown right out of the window in Elden Ring. Now before I start the run, let's establish the rules. 1. I can only use my Hitbox. 2. I will be starting this run in New Game Plus because I'm 100% sure it would be impossible otherwise. 3. The challenge run ends when I beat the first Great Room boss, Godrick the Grafted. If you're upset I'm not trying the whole game in the DLC, I understand, but believe me when I say I suffered through this little portion of the game enough. But maybe I'll come back to it in the future. For now though, let's begin the run. Oh, I almost forgot. I decided to change how my character looks, so I decided to make Oro from Street Fighter. In the lore of Street Fighter, he intentionally limits himself to only fighting with one hand, so I found him to be a fitting character to play as, since I too am limiting my god tier gamer skills with the rules I established. But you know what? It's about time we begin. So I decided to add a cool controller overlay to show my inputs over the course of the run to prove that I did it legitimately. The 4 buttons that control your up, down, left, and right movements are locked to the menu that cycles between your weapons, spells, and items. Also, I have no way to control the camera unless I use my mouse, but that would be cheating. So if I can't move in any way, how is this possible? Well, you can actually mash R1 to move your character forward, but that can only move you in a straight line. You will inevitably run into a wall, so how can you possibly move past all that? Well, it's all thanks to the Ashes of War and a very specific DLC exclusive weapon. Now from the very beginning, we reach a roadblock, or rather, a cliff that seems impossible to move around. But this is where I introduce the most important weapon in this challenge, the DLC exclusive Backhand Blade. Not only does it look stylish, like how Starkiller and Ahsoka use their lightsabers in Star Wars,
your feelings for her are not real. They are real to me!
But the Ash of War is by far the greatest Ash of War to be added to the game, at least in the context of this run. The blind spot Ash of War moves the player far to the left and then performs a backstab. This leftwards movement allows us to reposition our character in some really cool ways. By alternating from our blind spot Ash of War and the backdash, we are able to cross the bridge leading to the Grafted Scion boss. Now, an issue I had to deal with was alternating between my weapons. When I'm out of combat, it's easy to just swap between them all, but mid-combat, it can be a pain trying to switch between all of my gear. The fight with the Graptoscion was horrible. I thought I could easily lock onto the boss and just mash R1 and kill him. Now you might be asking, how do you even press R3 on the hitbox to lock on? Well, by holding down this button and then pressing this one, the controller will register it as an R3 input. At least that's how it's supposed to work. That's what the website says. For whatever reason, it just didn't work. This fight really shows how important it is to be able to control the camera and lock onto the enemy. A lot of Elden Ring bosses dash all over their arena, so losing track of them is a nightmare. So because I couldn't lock onto the boss, I suffered my first death of this run. So as we spawn into the stranded graveyard, I started spamming the Ash of War quickstep. It's a very easy way to quickly move forward, and if I still have FP left, it will give me invincibility frames. But what's really cool is that I can still use all of the Ashes of War, like the blind spot and the quick step, even if I run out of FP. But with all that being said, I found the very first wall of the run. A fucking wall. So the blind spot Ash of War is fantastic if I'm trying to move to the left. I didn't think of this at first, but moving right is a pain in the ass. I was bashing my head against this wall for well over 10 minutes, trying to use all of the weapons I had on me. I thought all hope would be lost, until I tried out another DLC weapon, the Pole Blade of the Bud, or as I like to call it, the Pole Blade of the Kush. Although I didn't have the stats to properly wield it, I could still use its Ash of War. It makes the player fly far to the right, so after a few tries, it got me through this narrow staircase. We are so back! Is what I would like to say if stepping on the elevator wasn't also hard to do. I realized I needed some way to change where my character was facing, but how can I do that? I can't control the camera with my mouse. Well, by equipping a bow, you can actually press and hold L1 to zoom in. This will force your character to look in the direction the camera is pointing at. So after spending almost 20 minutes in the stranded graveyard, we can finally enter Limgrave and begin this run for real. Once I open the door. Come on. Come on. Alright, there we go. We are so back. Let's do this!
Rock that world! Rock that world!
So the first section of Limgrave shows us why being unable to move right in an efficient manner sucks. You know we're screwed when getting to the first church is a puzzle by itself, but by clever changes to the camera and abusing the bow's zoom in, we can make it to that side of grace. Now, I really wanted to fight the Tree Sentinel, but not being able to lock onto him is horrible. You'd think beating him on New Game Plus would be easy, and yeah, you're right. He's normally a pretty easy boss to beat when you can move properly and see him. Oh, I forgot to mention another important aspect of the run. We can't roll. The backstep I've been doing is performed by pressing the roll button, but rolling requires a direction to be inputted as well. So the only invincible movement option I have is the quick step and Bloodhound step Ashes of War, but we need FP to get the iframes, so we can't fully rely on those Ashes of War. After I died to him, I tried messing around with some of the other Ashes of War, but I accidentally hit Kale. It's at this point that I needed to try something I needed to be able to lock on. But the input never worked, it only ever opened up the menu. So what the hell? Why isn't it working? Am I just stupid? Yes, actually it turns out I am. So the thing is, I have never really updated my Hitbox's firmware. So after a quick update, I was able to lock on. It finally worked. I put Kale out of his misery and went on to completely destroy the Tree Sentinel.
Perfect KO!
You know what? He's an optional boss anyway. I don't have time to wait on his scrub ass. So as I'm making my way to the gate front side of Grace, I learned that combat was still the same, but also very different. You can easily mash R1 to kill basic enemies, but the struggle comes with the camera. If an enemy is not in your line of sight, you can't lock onto him. Also remember, every time I need to lock on, I have to hold this button and then press the menu button. So sometimes it'll just open up the menu in the middle of combat while I'm trying to lock onto a new enemy, and it just feels very awkward. Now, as much as I would like to say I didn't upgrade the backhand blade for the sake of the challenge, I can't say that. I just forgot to do it before I started the new game, so I have to cycle between my movement weapons and my actual weapons all the time. So do you guys want to see what pain looks like? Normally you would hop on torrent and just run past this gate, but we can't use torrents at all. I need to get past here to reach the Stormveil Castle, but how can we do that with a dozen crossbows shooting at me while a giant troll kicks my ass? I'll tell you how. A +10 Crimson Flask and pure raw skill. The Quickstep Ash of War is our main movement tool in and out of combat. It's basically a drive rush from Street Fighter 6, so I need to just channel my inner kin and drive rush standing heavy punch 24/7 non-stop. Even if I get hit, who cares? Just do it again and it will work out eventually. Now another problem we'll face is with jumping. It's still crazy to think how other older Souls games don't have a jump button. You need to be running and then press another button to jump, but in Elden Ring, you just do it by pressing one simple button. However, you need to hold a direction in order to move forward with the jump. So how do we overcome small ledges? Well, we channel our inner E Honda and spam sumo smash, just like a bronze Honda player would. I would make them so proud. So by using all of the tools I have and getting far more comfortable with the bow camera manipulation, we can finally get past the gate. Getting to the Margit boss arena was a bit tight, but we got there deathless. Something I love doing in any game I can is parrying. It is so much fun. Seeing your opponent throw out an attack and then nullifying it with perfect timing, I can't even begin to describe how it feels, and I love how it feels in Elden Ring. Now Margit is able to be parried, so I thought it'd be fun to add on an extra challenge. I have to kill him with a riposte. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Shouldn't be hard at all.
Emboldened by the flame of ambition. Warrior blood must truly run my veins. Tarnished.
Now Margit normally is pretty easy, but the cliffs in his arena are even more dangerous now. If I'm not careful, he will stun lock me and throw me off the cliff with a combo or a giant hammer slam. Or even worse, he'll force me into the corner and pull off some of the most degenerate block strings and mix-ups I have ever seen. I got really close to killing him once, so I know that this is possible. I tried to zone him out with some fireballs, but Oro is a charge character, so I didn't fully understand how to properly zone with him. Keep in mind, every time I died, I had to make my way back to the fog wall, which got annoying really quickly. But eventually, I locked in. I understand that a good defense is extremely important in fighting games. If you block your opponent's attacks, they will eventually get frustrated. They will take some kind of risk. They will commit to an option that can be punished. So I decided to rely on the guard counter mechanic. If you block an attack and then press your heavy attack button, you will perform an attack that deals a lot of poise damage. A lot of Margit's attacks can be punished this way, so by playing patiently, we can consistently break his stance and get some damage in. I can also use the Quickstep Ash of War by equipping a shield without one of its own, so I am able to dodge his large hammer swings, and eventually, this happened. So with Margit the fallen off pro player beaten, it's time to take on the hardest part of this challenge, Stormveil Castle. Godrick the God Gamer is notorious for playing with dozens of different controllers in order to style on his opponents. But he's gone on record claiming that anyone who uses a cheat box is playing with an unfair advantage, that if you switch to a leverless controller, any victory you get is null and void. How dare he? This fight is personal now. It normally only takes a few minutes to get through the castle. You can easily spam roll to get through the main gate, or you can sneak through the side of the castle for an easier time. But no matter which one we choose, both will suck. Trying to get through the main gate is impossible. The ballistas are normally not a problem, but here, it's hell. So I have to take the side path. Although it's not as hard, it's still very annoying. Trying to manipulate the camera is so tedious, and lining yourself up properly for a jump attack sucks. I don't want to bore you by talking about everything, so here are just a few of the highlights of this section.
Your life literally is as valuable as a summer ant. I'm just gonna stump you, you're gonna keep coming back, I'm gonna seal up all my cracks, you're gonna keep coming back. Why? Because you keep smelling the syrup, you worthless bitch ass nigga. You're gonna stay on my dick until you die. You serve no purpose in life. Your purpose in life is to be in my stream sucking on my dick daily. Your purpose in life is to be in that chat blowing a dick daily. Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now and give somebody else a piece of that oxygen and ozone layer that's covered up so that we can breathe inside this blue trapped bubble. Because what are you here for? To worship me? Kill yourself. I mean that with 100%, with 1,000%.
I spent over 40 minutes trying to get through this little section. It sucked so hard, and honestly, I regret not streaming this little run. Chat would have been in an uproar at some of these points, but eventually, I did grab the rusty key, and after an embarrassing amount of time, I unlocked the door to progress through the castle.
But you're so supreme.
So in order to climb the ladder, you have to hold up. But we can't do that. In fact, we couldn't even get off of the ladder. I had to quit out of the game just to get off of it. So that means our only option now is to endure the onslaught that is the main gate. It's like playing Zangief and fighting Guile. It sucks. We'll just get zoned out the whole time. But there is no other way. We haven't come this far just to lose, just to give up. We endured the onslaught of bolts, slowly inching our way forward. Not even dying will stop us from trying. It doesn't matter how many times we drown in pools and get knocked out of the tournament with an 0-2 record. We carry on. We keep trying no matter how hard it gets, because that's what it means to be not just any gamer, but a fighting gamer. My hitbox has never let me down, so I'm not about to give up on it. Eventually, I managed to kill a few of the enemies and made my way up the side of the area to kill the guys on the ballistas. Then I picked off each enemy one by one using the guard counter. Eventually, I was lined up perfectly to reach the next side of Grace, but it was guarded by one of the most annoying enemies in the game, a lion. But I managed to skeet my way past him and reach the side of Grace. I decided to kill the lion because it would make it way easier to slip past the rest of the enemies, and we succeeded, only to be met with another staircase that has ballistas shooting at us too, but not just any kind of ballista. These ballistas shoot exploding bolts, so if they hit us, we will take a lot of damage. But by now, I have mastered the limited controls I have access to and reached the top of the staircase. Thankfully, the next area doesn't have everyone aggro onto us instantly, so we can take our time and take them out one by one. It gets really close at the end with the ogre and his dogs, but we get to the next side of Grace. It was deathless too. All that's left is a short section with some birds, 2 guys, and a giant troll. They all go down easily. We reach the side of Grace right outside of Godrick's arena. This is it. It is time to prove once and for all that the hitbox is not just an auto win controller. This is EVO Grand Finals. Margit the fallen off pro did knock me into the loser's bracket, so I don't have the widest margin of error. If I'm going to beat Godrick, I'll need to use everything I have learned throughout this challenge. Thankfully, I don't need to use the bow to adjust my camera in this fight. Staying locked on works all the time. I can use my quick step to evade his attacks and then punish him accordingly. I let Godrick use his unsafe on block attacks and riposte him when I can. I can tell he's getting frustrated with my amazing defense. He'll claim it's only because I'm using the hitbox, but he can't keep hiding behind that excuse forever. We eventually deal enough damage to knock him to phase 2. Godrick suddenly switched to a new controller mid-set though, and I wasn't prepared for it. The first round was close, but he won it with a magic pixel of health. Godrick was laughing at me, taunting me, but most of all, he was underestimating me. I'm okay at Street Fighter, but that's not my main game. It's about time I stopped holding back and fight just like my main character would in Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Nice choice. Guess I'm gonna have to show you I'm not playing around. Yo! Get lost before I send you flying. Too slow. Eat this! Crap! Crap! Over here! Take this! Hey! Crap! Yeah! My turn now! Eat this! I've been saving this one! Gonna run! Now's your chance! Yeah! Crap! Too slow! Huh. Hey! Ta! Ready for this? Here's some more! Looks like I've still got some fight in me, huh? Too slow! I'll show you my wolf fang fist! Too slow! Wolf fang fist! Crap! I'm not dying here! Over here! Neo wolf fang fist! Guess I showed you I'm not playing around, didn't I?
Although the set is tied 1-1, Godrick was so enraged that he destroyed all of his controllers, said some gamer words, and then was eventually kicked out of the venue, banned forever from entering a tournament again. I have proven that you can at least beat Elden Ring up until Godrick the Grafted using only a hitbox. Now maybe I'll try more bosses in the future, but I have other projects I need to work on. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you guys in my next Street Fighter stream, where I'll inevitably rage quit the session because I still can't tech the goddamn throw. Thank you for watching.